Bang bang! It is a world record. Jung Ho-jin from Korea. Do you remember a Korean sports shooter, Jung Ho-jin? He won a gold medal in the 2008 Beijing Olympics. I vividly remember that thrilling moment. He's from Chuncheon and I want to become a world famous sports shooter like him. What do you think of sports shooting? When you should hold breath and concentrate on the target. If you don't concentrate, you miss your mark. A slight different angle makes a big difference. I'd like to tell you how I began sports shooting. In PE class, I had a chance to shoot. I fired 5 rounds and I was thrilled when they hit the target. It was like the feeling that I experienced when I made scores in soccer. Then I made up my mind to become a sports shooter. I had some trouble with my parents about my decision to be on the school sports shooting team. My mother says, "A sports shooter? That's because you don't want to study. You are always restless. And besides, you are physically weak. You can't become an athlete." I didn't give up. Yes, you're right. I lack concentration. I am short and weak. But I'd like to learn how to fight against myself, and I will become healthier. Finally, my parents gave me a permission to begin shooting. And now, I practice every day at the school shooting range. The first day, I began shooting. I was so nervous that I hit the lights on the ceiling and not the target. I was so embarrassed. But now, I improved a lot. And the other day, I won some ice cream on the bed with my team members. I am still a beginner. My posture is not yet stable, and my fingers tremble when I shoot. My fingertips swell, and in the morning, I can move my fingers well. But I am happy that my parents are supporters now. I don't hang around with friends since I have to practice shooting. But I am happy that I am doing what I like. I practice every day with the dream of becoming a Korean national sports shooter in the future. Thank you.
1-20-15. Can you guess what these numbers mean? I saw them in my social studies textbook. Let's convert the whole world into a small village of 100 people. In that village, 1 is starving to death, 20 are malnourished, about 15 are overweight. I was shocked at the statistics. Do you have a world that you dream of? I do. Today, I'd like to speak about the world I dream of. I read about Sierra Leone, a country in West Africa. Its national flag had 3 colors: green, white, and blue. Green stands for natural resources, white stands for unification, and blue stands for world peace. However, what is the present situation of the country like? It has a few world records in several aspects. They are the mortality rate of young children, the average lifespan, and the number of war orphans. 90% of the people have only 1 meal a day. When I first heard about the poor situation, I thought the natural surroundings brought about the famine and poverty. But shockingly, Sierra Leone was the richest country in West Africa before a civil war that lasted for 12 years. The war made the country fall into severe poverty. I want to change the statistics such as 1, 20, and 15. One thing I can do for that is this. I eat lunch at the school cafeteria. They serve meat and vegetables. Most students don't like vegetables, and some students throw that away without even feeling guilty. They complain about the menu, and so did I from time to time. But from now on, I will get the proper amount of food at the school cafeteria and try not to waste any. The other thing is to study hard to become a writer because I like reading and writing. It seems a long way to change the whole world, but one step of many people can bring about a change. People say that the pen is mightier than the sword, and I agree with that. I want to prevent wars around the world by writing. Now, you should probably know the world I dream of. I like number 0 for poverty, famine, and wars. Thank you for listening.
Dream. How to define dream? From the first year to the 6th year in the elementary school, I had learned violin in the after-school elective course. Every day, the teacher complimented on my ability, saying, "Wow, Pumin, you're doing such an awesome job. Why don't you apply for the concourse? You can definitely make it." Because of those compliments that I heard every day, I always thought, I am too good at this. A few days later, I quit after school course and started to go to the Music Institute for continuing my violin lesson. I had to take an entrance exam in order to enter the institute, and as usual, I boldly performed the violin on the stage. After the performance, I was waiting to hear, "Wow, you did such a great job," with a big round of applause. Unfortunately, what the judges told me were completely different from what I had expected. Pumin, you should start learning how to manage your error first. Your performance played out of tune, rhythm, and the beat as well. As soon as I heard them, the high expectation I totally collapsed down. I may not be able to become a violinist. I was lost in the thought for a while, and the next day, I went to the institute for the first lesson. During the lesson, I concentrated and sweated so much, not wanting to get scolded. However, I felt that I was getting scolded at least 100 times a day without even one compliment. I started to hate playing the violin and even the teacher. At times, I would cry restlessly. One day, the teacher asked me after the lesson, "Pumin, what is your dream?" It's obviously a violinist." "Well, Pumin, you must be able to overcome the wall in your heart to accomplish what you dream of. The wall may look too high, then you may feel troubled, but you have to pass through it. This is what the dream is really about. I needed confidence to run over that invisible wall inside of me. I started having hope to overcome the wall as well. I realized that the one word from my teacher turned the impossible to the possible. Even today, I continue to challenge this wall inside of me to walk the path to become the greatest violinist."
Have you ever complained? Or have you ever thought of main reason for your complaint? Long time ago, my family had a very difficult time economically. At that time, the situation in my father's work was getting worse. Father worked till late, and I rarely saw his face. As many children like computer games, I was the same. When the computer was broken, I had to wait many weeks till it got repaired. At that time, I was a kindergartner. I had just 4 books. I'd read them again and again, but I was happy just because I booked straight. I had selfish memory. We used to enjoy fried chicken on my father's payday, and I used to save some food from my father, who would come late at night. I was pleased to imagine that my father would eat it. When my mother intended to buy something for me in market, I even said, "I'm okay, I don't like it," because I felt sorry to be a burden for my mother. At that time, I was not feeling bad at all in spite of that. It was a great memory for our family to have that kind of time, because that gave us a happiness and lasting memory about each other's. But nowadays, sometimes I'm a little surprised, because I feel that I'm different of what I used to be. My father's work situations has been getting better lately, so my family had better condition than before. I began to complain that we all need fried chicken over and over again. As our life got better, I began to have a temptation to go to movies and internet cafe with my friends. Although I wanted to go, My parents didn't love me, so I complained to them. Instead of thankful feeling about my father, I began to feel dissatisfaction toward my parents, and my conversations with them were getting worse. Sometimes I could reflect myself, but I found myself being dragged by more complaints. One day, I'm shocked by reading a book titled, "Who Are You? Who is Dragging Me?" It gave me a chance to think over my mind. I could realize what made me complain. It wasn't for my circumstances. From the book, I realized that even if my condition was good enough to manage my living, my overflowing desires made me complaints and lose the precious value. I found that I have many conditions of gratitude when I saw myself with more modest mind. Ladies and gentlemen, we should control the exceeding desire from our present situation. If you get more modest mind, you can recognize that you have good background around you. Now is the time for me to thank my parents. They support my life. Thank you.
Noodle Road, The Tears of the North Pole, Tea Road, and Don't Cry Tones. Those magnificent documentary programs move me deeply. Documentary programs like these give people pleasure and can make an impression on them by putting the lives of people and other mysterious stories on the screen. And one day, I want to be a producer of documentaries like these. In my childhood, my grandmother raised and took care of me because my mom was too busy. My grandmother taught me how to share love and care for others, and she made me and my brother a lot of delicious food. One of the fondest memories of my childhood is spending time with my grandmother watching television. But this greatly concerned my mother. She felt that television had little worth, although she could see how much I enjoyed it. One day, I was completely absorbed in television, and my mom gave me a pretty sweet idea. She said, "Tawi, you like TV and you're creative, so how about becoming a person who makes television programs?" At that moment, my dream was set. Wouldn't it be awesome if I could produce a television program as good as programs like Mu한도전? I'm not a big fan of fictional stories. The stories that I love are about the true lives of people, how they live, worry, and love. I like traveling and I'm curious, so producing documentaries is a perfect dream for me. After I decided what I would do in the future, I became very interested in the true stories and lives of famous and ordinary people. I try to watch as many documentaries as I can. By watching these programs, I've learned the history of noodles and how they developed alongside mankind. I realized the magnitude of global warming. I was moved by the lives of Tibetans on the tea road, and I shed tears for Father Lee Tae-seok, who passed away after he shared his love to the world. Watching a good documentary has a bigger impact on me than reading a fine book or watching a nice movie. It is the power of honesty that moves me. Through documentaries, I hope to express and share my thoughts and my views and tell the stories that will make an impression on others. I feel a lump in my throat just thinking of it. Television is called the idiot box because much of the programming is simple and mindless entertainment. But I believe that it can be a gateway to a more beautiful and understanding world. Documentaries have the power to show us new things and give us new ideas. I hope to be a part of that one day. Also, it will be a huge comfort to my grandmother knowing that the time I spent with her in front of the idiot box was not all for nothing. Thank you for listening.
Which world do you dream of? A peaceful world? A world without stress? A world without disease? Well, today I'd like to share my dream world with you. I dream of a world in which people are judged by their true abilities. Throughout our lives, we tend to treat others by the results of our judgment. But the problem is that educational background is a criteria that most of us judges others by. Let me give you one example about it. Do you know how companies hire new employees? First, they spread thousands of application forms on the floor. Then, they move application forms from prestigious university graduates to one side and the rest to the opposite side by using their feet. Finally, they dump away the applications, which are moved to the opposite side. But among the applications thrown away, there even was a program CD one of the applicants had developed by himself. A CD that with great efforts was just being thrown away without being taken any notice of. Who knows that the CD might have had very creative and extraordinary contents. And the funny thing is, this is a real case from a famous game company. How ridiculous it is! A phenomenon like this must disappear in our future. A person who doesn't have a good educational background can make a wonderful invention or develop an ingenious technology. Look at Michael Faraday, who is thought to be one of the most influential scientists in history. It is a well-known fact that he received none of formal education. If he had been judged by his educational background in his time, his invaluable inventions would have been ignored and forgotten. It is about time to make a change and find a second, third, fourth Michael Faraday. To do this, companies must hire new employees by looking at their true abilities. How can they do it? I have an idea. In the application forms, ban the applicants from writing such things as colleges. Instead, let them write about their ambitions of their positions and attach their own thesis or creative experiments which can prove their ability. I know that it will take a long time to read all the documents, but I also believe that by doing so, we'll be able to find the truly competent persons for each area of work. They will devote themselves with passion to what they have talent in. They will be happy. And I hope the world we teenagers will get to go through as an adult will be that very world. Thank you for listening.
You are what is keeping me from fulfilling my dreams. Okay, well, not quite like that. You see, Tom Bradley once said, the only thing that will stop you from fulfilling your dreams is you. I wholeheartedly agree with this statement. Whatever one's dream is, hard work and motivation are the two factors that really determine if they can achieve their dream or not. At the age of 13, the term dream seems like such an abstract concept to me. The things that I hope to obtain in the future currently may easily change as I grow older and more mature. However, I do have a set goal that I'm slowly taking steps towards. My dream is to become a lawyer and help protect the rights of people who cannot afford to. There are various reasons why I wish to achieve this goal. The first and most appealing one is that I'll be able to help protect the rights of the poor and defenseless. An area that I want to concentrate on is children. In our society, children are often helpless and neglected, and because of their age, without a voice or representation. There are too many real-life cases where children are neglected and abused by strangers, neighbors, and even by their own parents. For example, on March 5th, 2010, a Korean couple was so busy taking care of their online baby that they neglected feeding their real-life baby girl. The 3-month-old daughter starved to death while her parents devoted hours on playing a computer game. Children deserve better, and I want to be a voice for the voiceless. Although I am lucky enough to have parents who deeply care for me, I want to give back to those who aren't as fortunate as I am. The best and most efficient way for me to achieve this would be for me to become educated enough to stand up for their rights. Another reason is that being a lawyer suits my interests. English is my favorite subject at school. Not only do I enjoy reading and writing, I also have a massive interest in speech and debate. Thus, I believe the one profession that well utilizes my passions of a lawyer is that of a lawyer. In my short life, I have taken some steps to stand closer to my dream. First of all, I've listened to numerous amounts of speeches made by professional lawyers. Just last year, our school had a career day where one of the parents came to talk about a job, a lawyer. The point she stressed the most in her speech was that wherever you're working as a lawyer, for a law firm, for a corporation, or for the government, you have to be a strong public speaker. Thus, this led me to listen to a course in Northwestern University this summer, Persuasion and Debate. This course taught me the various skills needed to become a skilled debater, and also informed us on the psychology of persuasion. All of these experiences, I believe, will help me in the future to proficiently obtain my dream of helping others as a lawyer, but also helping them achieve success. Lawyer and lazy might be close together at the dictionary, but that's about all they have in common.
I acknowledge that my journey to become a lawyer will be rough and challenging. However, hard work and motivation, as mentioned by Tom Bradley, will guide me in this journey and at the end of the day, allow me to achieve my goals. With hard work, I will use another L word I learned to help others. It's not lose, it's to litigate. Thank you for listening.
There are countless problems and issues that have to be solved in this planet named Earth. However, if I had the ability to change one thing about this world, I will lower the high costs of college tuition. Now, some of you might wonder why I chose this as a problem that needs some change. Well, college students are preparing to become the next generation, and our descendants, in turn, depend upon their success. Nevertheless, tuition keeps getting in the way. For our sons and daughters to have a bright future, we have to demolish the wall of tuition. If you look at the graph, we see that 97% of students feel stress, and the number one stressor is financial worries. For students, this means the high cost of tuition. Let's take a look at the skyrocketing price of tuition around the world. Does this mean that only affluent students have the right to go to college? Do students who aren't able to bear the burden of all those fees have to give up their dreams, even though they're smart enough to make valuable contributions to the world? If tuition continues to increase, then the world will face a serious talent crisis. There have been several suicides this year already at KAIST because of this problem. Are universities in the world trying to teach students or exploit them? Paying thousands of dollars a year to study? This is called robbery, ladies and gentlemen. Now imagine that you have 50 million won in debt and you could earn 20 to 25,000 won for working more than 5 hours a day. In other words, this means that you have to work for more than 10,000 hours. Can't get the picture? Let me put it this way. If you change those working hours to days, you would have to work for at least 5 years and 4 months to get free. Probably most of you might think that this is insane, but this insane fact is one which many students in Korea have to face today. As I speak, millions of college students suffer from harsh working conditions. Students have to sell their blood, sell their organs, and become laboratory patients simply to earn money for tuition. Consider the story of a 23-year-old person named Seung-won Hwang, who died by inhaling refrigerant gas at an apartment cellar to earn money for tuition. Tuition is brutalization. I could still remember the tears of a college student I've met who have been selling newspapers at a subway day and night to pay for college. The young person's tears contain only despair and not a single drop of hope. This made me reflect on my life and what I could do to make the world a better place. So ladies and gentlemen, if I could change one thing about this world, I would make college more affordable for students. Our future depends on it. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mira Kim from Sangil Girls Middle School, and I'm glad to be here. My dream is to become an anchor. From now on, I'll tell you about the journey, how I finally found this dream. When I was a little girl, about 8 years old, my dream was to become an artist. At that age, I loved drawing, making things, and I loved everything that had to do with my hands. However, as time went on, my dream started changing. When Ban Ki-moon became a UN Secretary General, I was impressed and got interested in his job diplomat. Because diplomats needed to be good at English, I thought a diplomat will be a great job for the people who likes English just like me. So my dream job became a diplomat. But as time went on, my dream changed again. My dream was to become a veterinarian. I loved looking after animals and I loved feeding them. So when I was a fourth grader, I interviewed a veterinarian to understand this job more. Also, as I grew up, I knew that anatomy is essential to becoming a vet. When I was a sixth grader, I had an anatomy class and I had a chance of dissecting a frog. When I grabbed this frog before I anatomized it, tears went out of my eyes. My teacher told me, "Mira, don't cry. It's only a science experiment. And if you want to become a vet, anatomy is the major subject that you need to learn." I understood what my teacher had said, but I felt so sorry for the frog. After having the anatomy class, I felt hesitant on becoming a vet. Finally, when I became a middle school student, I got interested in science. I think this is because I got familiar with my school's science teacher. I felt that being a science teacher would be fun. I felt an ecstasy of enjoyment while studying science. So my dream of becoming a science teacher got bigger and bigger. But when I became a second grader in middle school, I found my real dream anchor. I was interested in society in that age, so I read newspapers almost every day and watched TV news many times. While watching TV news, I could see anchors delivering news. I thought anchors delivering news to the whole world looked very happy. I thought that I thought that it would be fun to deliver the news to the whole world by my mouth. I felt excited to try that. Right now, I'm trying hard to fulfill my dream. I'm trying to have a good pronunciation by reading news articles out loud, and I'm trying to be knowledgeable by reading books and reading news articles. I know I can fulfill my dream, so I will try my best in this very moment to achieve and fulfill my great dreams. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Yoon Seok, and I attend Gangdong Middle School. In August this year, I traveled to Berlin. The journey was long and tedious, but I hardly noticed it because I was so excited to see Europe. I visited Brandenburg Gate, Checkpoint Charlie, and many historic museums, but the most incredible place was the Berlin Wall among them. When I saw the wall, I was filled with disbelief. It was the symbol of a separated family when Germany was split in two. The wall was about 40 kilometers long, and it was built in 1961 and taken down in 1989. What I could freeze in now was once only for the eyes of the military for 28 years. Crossing the border was almost fatal, but people still tried. But then I thought, actually, Germany's past is very similar to Korea's present. We also have a country that was separated after the Korean War, and we would be unified too. I dream of one Korea. The people of North Korea should have freedom. It's a basic human right. They might have already forgotten what it feels like to be able to make choices. There are also many starving people in North Korea, and they need food and a better way to make food. I can imagine a boy my age in North Korea. What would the life be like for him? Would he be happy? Would he have a childhood? Would he die of hunger? There should be no victims so close to us. Nobody likes blood. Nobody likes violence. Maybe there's a peaceful way to save them. It may be much harder for Korea because we have been separated longer than Germany. They were separated for 28 years, and we have been separated for 63 years. But how can time be an excuse not to have those in need? The most important thing is to try, because it is worth it. It is worth trying. So I dream of one Korea, one people. The people of North Korea, yeah. I dream of traveling north. I dream of seeing the cities and enjoying the cultures. I want to meet traveling north, and I want to visit the beautiful mountains, antique temples, and luscious forests. And I want to meet people like my grandma's family who stayed in North Korea. I really want to meet them. I wish for the suffering to stop, and all of the separated families and every Korean could meet with freedom and smile. Thank you for listening my dream.
Are you going to keep wearing your skirt so short? I really hate listening to my mother's nagging. I just simply wanted to make my short legs look longer. So I don't understand why the others consider my skirt a problem. Because of my straight parents, I had to wear a long skirt regardless of my wishes. And I had to go around without a cell phone. That's why I was always full of complaints. My friends from school would go around with shorter skirts than me, and they all had cell phones. And whenever I saw them, I would feel so isolated and I envied them so much. Then one day, my teacher called me to the front of a class and said, "Look at Juyong's skirt. Look at how proper and neat it is." I was complimented like this, but I still envied my friends who were wearing short skirts. And in my morality class, when my teacher would ask, "Is there anyone that doesn't have a cell phone?" I was hesitant and barely lost my hand, because it was very embarrassing that I didn't have one. And at that moment, all of my classmates looked at me together, and I was very embarrassed, so I regretted raising my hand. And that's when my teacher complimented me, saying that I was perfect at self-control, because I did not buy a cell phone like everyone else. So I felt great, And the teacher said that the best car is not the fastest car, but the car that stops well. I thought I was miserable because I did not have a cell phone and because my skirt was too long. But I had heard that my mother wanted to teach me self-control. I think that I know a little bit of my mother's heart now. A good car needs to have a good engine, but it needs even better brakes. There are so many things that I want to do and have, but the heart is something that looks for something more even though it may have everything. I came to know that I need to have self-control, which functions like a brake. And I also came to know that my parents and other adults played the role of friends for me at those times. Although there may still be a lot of things that I want to do, I'm not worried because I have parents and teachers who guide me to the right path. Thank you.
Everyone, do you know what a trumpet is? Have you ever seen someone play one? You may have seen a male trumpeter but a female one. Probably not. Well, you have now. I am a trumpeter. Back in the 6th grade, I went to a drawing academy in the middle of downtown. At first, I was filled with excitement, but there were so many things to see and so many things I wanted there. Every time I went downtown, something new caught my eyes. And one day, I found my hands moving toward the things I saw. By the time I realized what I was doing, it was too late. Although I kept telling myself to stop, when I opened my eyes, I was already stealing again, and my greed grew. The drawing academy that had once excited me became a destination on my path of crime. And then my parents caught me stealing. I had fallen too far. The things I stole could easily fit a whole garbage bag. I began to scare myself. I was changing into someone who hid in the darkness. But one day, I learned about the music school. The older kids who went there seemed so bright. Their hearts were so clean and sincere. I was constantly busy hiding, but they lived their lives in clear view. When I saw them, I wanted to know more about their school, and so I began to learn the trumpet. At first, playing the trumpet was hard and no fun at all. My lips were sore, and I didn't have the strength to play another note. What was I thinking? I wanted to give up so many times. But as I shared my heart with the other students and as we practiced together, light began to enter my heart that was once filled with greed and darkness. As soon as my heart was filled with light, I became bright and little by little broke free from my old self. As I poured my heart and soul into my trumpet and practiced, my trumpet responded in kind. My trumpet has many faces. I want to show you each and every one of them because the trumpet is a special instrument that changed me. I grew to love the trumpet, and now it fills my whole heart. Whenever I hear the trumpet, I feel joy. And I am a trumpeter that performs this joy. Thank you.
At age 25, I'm here at Yonghyun Elementary School where my dream came true. Today is the first day of class. When I opened the door, I saw kids laughing with joy and some yawning with sleepy eyes. Looking at these children, I recalled the time when I was in the 6th grade. When I was in the 4th grade, I had a negative outlook on teachers. It's because I saw a teacher abusing and insulting a little body in class. But in 6th grade, I met a teacher who changed this perception. The teacher promised that we'll be already with the book if we correct 30 stickers for good behavior. I was the first to gather those stickers, and I asked for that poison cherry as a gift. It's because on the first day, I met the teacher. She said that was the book that impressed her the most. So I always wanted to read that poison cherry. The moment I saw on the cover that it's been a bestseller among students for a decade, my eyes became fixed on the book. When I flipped the cover, I found the teacher's message that read, "Your dream will change." As what she said, my dream of becoming a teacher grew bigger as I turned the page. In the book, I was most impressed by the scene where a teacher shared his heart with his students. In the book, Mr. Keating made them memorize English words by playing soccer, and he always talked with an open heart. When I was in the 6th grade, my homeroom teacher resembled Mr. Keating very much. At that time, there was a student named Jin Won-sung in my class. I really hated him because he was a smoker and he always smelled like smoke whenever he was nearby. If I were the teacher, I would have scorned him and be angry. But the teacher didn't. She always had counseling with him. Soon afterward, I was amazed to find that he, who used to defy rules, didn't smell like smoke anymore and stopped fighting with the others. Later, I learned that he didn't have a mother and that he had much trouble at home. I felt very sorry for being blind to his pain and criticizing him. Through this, I learned to treat people from the heart. Just as my dream and my life had changed with the message, "Your dream will change," I also longed to become the next Mr. Keating. Teacher, what are you doing? Huh? Oh, okay, let's start the class.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen and honorable adjudicators. Can you remember 5 years ago what you were doing and what you were thinking of? At that time, what had brought you to the specific place and how did you feel? The time you're remembering back in 2006. I must have been a 12-year-old punk kid who used to play pranks on others and make fun out of it. However, it was also a significant period of transition for me to become a boy wandering about the world with expanded views. The exact date was September 1st, 2006. I flew to Canada to better learn English and experience the English culture. My Canadian life there was pretty good. My English improved day by day, and I started making friends. And I wish you could believe, but I even had a girlfriend there, and in short, it was fantastic to be in Canada. As it always is, everything cannot be all smooth sailing. One day, a boy named Andy asked me where I was from. I obviously answered Korea, but they did not know where it was. Korea? Oh, you mean North Korea? Did you guys have nuclear weapons? Oh my God, shouldn't they know the difference between the two, North and South? I was definitely shocked. From then on, nothing caught my sight, except the perception that I had to distinguish my home country from others. I studied about cultures and interesting aspects of Korea. With my passion and knowledge, I began advertising my proud country. Canadian kids have expressed their interest in my speech, and I was enraptured by the changing reality. My effort never stopped, and 5 years later, right here, I am making a speech in front of you. Ladies and gentlemen, there will certainly be a moment someday, maybe 5 years from now, when this grown-up boy before you thinks back to the fresh shock that his friends had given him all those years ago in Canada. However, I do also believe, as we saw from Pyeongchang being chosen to host the Olympics, that I will be shocked again that friends of mine did not know Korea. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I am a proud citizen of Korea. You are, and we are all the citizens of proud Korea. And we will constantly be, because a boy in front of you who is in great love with his nation is in Korea. It's because there are many passionate and health-minded youths, including me, existing in this country. Thank you.
Life is unfair. Today, 1.4 billion people around the world, 20% of the entire world population, suffer under poverty, earning less than $1 per day. While they work 16 hours of physical labor to earn that much money, some people spend more than $100 a day just to drink and play. Indeed, life is unfair. 30% of the world cannot read or write, while some people spend $50,000 annually on education at Harvard. I live in Korea, where the GDP per capita is $30,000 and where college education is a basic right. I live in Korea, one of the richest countries in the world, and find that it is my duty to help those underprivileged people suffering from poverty and illiteracy. It is my dream, therefore, to become a human rights lawyer to help those suffering people. A human rights lawyer is one who sacrifices himself for others. Having no interest in greed or wealth, they often solve a case pro bono and fight to take back the freedom that has been taken away from a certain group of people. This is the reason why I want to become a human rights lawyer. I want to become a lawyer who helps people lacking knowledge in the field of law or who are even unable to read. I want to help those who need legal advice, who are illegitimately accused as criminals, or who are about to lose their land because of a false contract. These people are alone, ostracized from society, and helpless. They need our help, and I will help them. People say that in a capitalistic society, you're rich because you work hard, and you're poor because you do not. This is absurd. I know that many people have not been given the chances and opportunities that have been given to me. I know that they have tried, but their parents could not afford the education. I know that the trend of a capitalistic society is that the rich get richer while the poor get poorer. I know that they suffer, and I know that I can help them. Noblesse oblige. Even back in the Roman age, the aristocrats found it necessary to help those in need. I will take this principle and apply it to the 21st century. I will help people by becoming a human rights lawyer. Yes, life is unfair. Yes, there are still people out there who suffer. But maybe, just maybe, because of the chances that I have been given, I will be able to be a ray of hope, shining my light for these people. And I will do this. I will make this world a better and fairer place by fulfilling my dream of becoming a human rights lawyer. Thank you.
A friend drew my face for me. Does it look like me? Actually, I wanted my face to look like this. Since I have so many pimples, I could not completely wipe my face when I sweat. For me, pimples were a big trouble. When I was in first grade, I had a few strange rashes on my forehead. When I squeezed them, little pus came out. I would always scratch them roughly. Then they would become swollen, and as a result, they would hurt. As time passed, the pimples started to appear all over my face. They appeared on my forehead, then they covered my entire forehead. Finally, my face was completely covered with pimples. I have tried many things to erase pimple. I researched about blemish skin on the internet, applying medicine, and skincare treatments. However, the pimples on my face would not go away. I even went to a skin clinic and had them popped again. It made me lose my confidence, so I locked myself away in my room all alone. But one day, when I was watching television, I found a music program called I Am a Singer. This program is a competition for singers who have a great singing talent. One singer caught my eye, a man named Kim Bum-soo. Before his appearance on the I Am a Singer show, he performed as faithless singer because of his ugly face. Also, when his song made it to the Billboard chart, he gave an interview on the news showing only the side of his face. However, the singer Kim Bum-soo is gaining more and more popularity on the show, since he isn't concerned about how he looks and only focuses on attempting different genres of music. When I saw him, I realized my pimpled face is no longer a problem. He taught me that a person's value is determined by what is not on the outside, but in the inside. I look in the mirror every morning. As you can see, pimples are still developing on my face. But regardless of this, I now am confidently hanging out with my friends and studying well. I like myself, just the way I am. I just see these pimples as a charismatic characteristic that define 15-year-old Jo Young-jin. Thank you.
Do I look bad? If you think I am, please listen very closely. Some people say, So-young, you should lose some weight. Everybody tries to stay in shape. You are so fat. Others say, So-young, you look so healthy. So many people are too skinny these days. You look so good. Do you know why flowers are so beautiful? It's because people think they are. Do you know why cockroaches are so nasty? Again, it's because people think they are.
We have lived with our own standards for such a long time and have been taught to think that flowers are beautiful and cockroaches are nasty. If we had been taught to think that cockroaches are beautiful, we wouldn't crush them. Do you know who she is? Jang Mi-ran, a world champion weightlifter. Some say, isn't she too fat for women? Being overweight is not healthy. Others say, it's so beautiful to see her challenge the burden of reaching for another record. What's your opinion? Everyone has their own standard, and we can't say this is right and that is wrong. But some people reject others because their standards are different, and they argue about who is right and who is wrong. Just like Jang Mi-ran, some say she's fat and some say she's beautiful. If we could only acknowledge the differences in others, then we could come to a compromise. Oh, I thought this way, but then person thinks differently. Then we can truly learn to understand others. I personally respect Jang Mi-ran. Yes, I do agree that I am fat, but I'm also healthy. Of course, I'm not saying that being fat is good. I just want to point out the different standards people have. It is not important whether you think I am fat or healthy. But don't reject others because they're different. Do you still think I am fat? Don't you think I'm so cute? Thank you.
Hello everyone. Today, I want to tell the best moment in my life. I want to share the happiness of the moment with you. Please listen carefully. When I was an elementary school student, I played the drum in the orchestra. At first, I started it as I liked it, and I practiced it hard by myself. I was chosen in the school orchestra and joined it. I was so glad, but it was just a moment. It's not only my drum, but 60 various instruments play the same music. The orchestra was totally different from my own way. To my journey with French, I had to practice more and more. At last, I lost my interest in drum and even didn't like to hold drumsticks. One day, I heard that our orchestra would take part in the national contest, and there will be a camp training for 5 days at school. What? A camp for 5 days? I'm already bored playing the drum and practicing it. I was sick to death. I decided to tell my mom and not to attend it. But my mom didn't listen to me and pushed me to attend the camp. I couldn't yell even in the camp. While other friends practiced it, I played the drum half-heartedly, listening to my teacher in an absent sort of way. On first day, second day, and even on the third day. On the fourth day, the teacher said to me, "Jaewon, I wouldn't teach you anymore. You should practice on your own." I was very shocked. He told me like that. Then, what should I do? At that moment, I looked back on your past. I acted as a police, looking down on others, not observed in the orchestra. Simply because each time I was bored, I was ashamed of myself. From then, I practiced it endlessly with the drumsticks. Nobody got me to do that, but I changed my mind and practiced it. While other friends rest, I kept practicing, spending less time for meals. At the last performance on the last day of the camp, I could play the drum perfectly as a part of the orchestra. After the performance, I got a memorable compliment. My teacher gave me the thumbs up with smiling face. Whenever I want to give up, I remember the most beautiful smiling in the world and the best moment of my life. Thank you.
If anyone asks me what the purpose of my life is, I would say it was to eat. As you can see, I'm overweight. I want to change my eating habits, but it's not an easy thing to do. Why? Because I really enjoy eating. Every time I'm hungry, I cook something. I enjoy cooking, so I set my goal to become a chef. I started researching about famous chefs,
and I saw a speech given by Jamie Oliver. He's different than other chefs because he really cares about people and what they eat. When he was on the TED program, he said, "Sadly, during the 18 minutes I'm giving this speech, 4 Americans will be dead from the food they eat. Your children's lives will be 10 years shorter than yours because of the food you give them." I was shocked to find out that more people die from the food they eat than from accidents. Being fat is not a personal problem, it's an international problem. Jamie is trying to stop schools from feeding processed food to the students. He actually goes to the schools and makes fresh, healthy food for the students. At first, they rejected his program, but after a few months, they discovered that the students were calmer and many had lost weight. He also strongly recommends homemade food, so he teaches cooking classes for free. He cooks in such an easy way that it motivates others to cook too. In the beginning, I said I enjoyed cooking, but I cook things such as ramen and pancake, and I don't need vegetables at all. This is why I became fat. I thought a chef was just someone who cooked food. Jamie Oliver made me see what a true chef is. Now, my dream is stronger. Someday, I open a restaurant, and everyone who comes there will enjoy eating the healthy food with smiles on their faces. I hope to see some of you there. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I'll talk about my dream. Like other girls of my age, I've had various dreams. Sometimes I wanted to be a singer, but other times I wanted to be a movie director. However, there was one decisive incident which made me make up my mind on my future dream. One day, my mom got hurt in her lower back. She couldn't even stand up for herself, and she was nearly crawling. A few days later, she went to see a herb doctor with me, and she was treated with acupuncture. The thin needles of acupuncture looked so sharp that they even scared me. But to my surprise, my mom recovered in just 3 days. I found the treatment very effective to my mom, and I was amazed. From then on, I got interested in Oriental medicine. So, what I want to be now? As you might guess, I want to be an Oriental medical doctor. To be a good doctor, I'll have to get knowledge on various things because Oriental medicine covers mental and physical parts together. Fortunately, I like math and science, and I usually get A's on the 2 subjects. I hope this will be the good starting point. But I need to have some more background knowledge. So, I read many kinds of books about humans, herbs, and the relationship between them. I'll also try to travel as often as possible so that I can meet different people and learn different things that affect their health. As you know, there are so many people dying, not only because of their physical disease, but also their psychosomatic disease. For that reason, I think doctors have to know how to treat both patients' minds and bodies. This fact inspires me even more to be a doctor. And if I became a doctor, I would go anywhere to help people suffering from their pain. After all, we all are sons and daughters of God. I respect Hojun, a doctor in the Joseon dynasty. He didn't run away from his patients with infectious diseases, and he cured them to the end. So, I want to be a doctor like Hojun, who cured people's minds and bodies to heal the world. And now, I'll sing you a song, Heal the World, sung by Michael Jackson, and show you my passion about my dream. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. Thank you.
I remember preparing for a speech contest when I was young. While we practiced, my teacher let us go outside and stand in line along the street. She said, "Today, we're gonna practice here." We were surprised. The place was just the side of the road, which was not well equipped for practicing our speech. We felt kind of shy, but began to speak. While we talked, some passers-by saw us and laughed. There were even some people who watched us strangely. I really hated the way they looked at us. Our voices became softer and softer. We burst into tears with embarrassment. "Teacher, I can't do this anymore. I am so embarrassed." But my teacher continued to shout, "Louder, much louder!" I was so sad. However, I couldn't but continue to speak. During our practice, one person listened to my speech through to the end. He even applauded my speech. I gained courage because of the thought that someone actually listened to my speech. Later, I received an excellent result at the speech contest. At the time, I couldn't imagine that this event, which I experienced in my childhood, would change me. When I think about it now, I seem to be confident owing to the event. When I was an elementary school student, we had a class election. I suggested holding election pledges. I wasn't shy like I used to be. I wondered at my ability to speak confidently for classmates. And I was elected president of my class. I emceed ceremonies for camps and school festivals in front of many people. I sometimes failed and was criticized. During these moments, public speaking was very difficult. But I didn't give up, and I came to have a greater dream. It's to be an announcer. To be an announcer, I have dreamed many people and be confident, because now I am neither timid. I foresee difficulties while in my dream. Maybe it will be more difficult than I think. But I have confidence in the fact that I will overcome any problems. I will overcome because I realize many people listen and respond to my voice, and I really like bringing news to them. So I've decided. Before, I wanted to be an announcer, but now I will be an announcer. Thank you.
I'd like to start by asking a simple question. Is there anyone here who has never cried before? No? Well, I thought as much. Everybody has cried at least once in their lives, and I'm no exception. You see, I'm not one of those so-called sensitive kind of people, but recent years presented me with many reasons to cry. Before I tell you my story, I need to tell you more about me. I haven't exactly grown up in what most consider a normal family. My brother, age 14, has autism. You may be confused and wondering, what on earth is autism? Autism is a lifelong developmental disability that affects how a person communicates with and relates to other people. This means that my brother has incomprehensible tantrums, non-interpretable language, and uncontrollable will to rip, mess up, throw, dump, stuff, and drop practically everything he can find in our house. My first public tears were shed in the embarrassment of my brother. He had turned up in the playground, stark naked with the exception of a pair of bright yellow wellies. When everyone realized that he was my brother, I was teased mercilessly by every single classmate. I couldn't help but burst into tears in front of everybody. My next crying episodes happened in the privacy of my own room. I got betrayed by the friend that I trusted the most. This betrayal led to me being shunned, then bullied by the rest of my classmates. I cried every night into my pillow so that nobody could hear me. Being the eldest and most stubbornly proud, it was hard for me to show anyone how I was truly feeling. But eventually, my mom called me. I begged her to let me move to another school for a fresh new start where nobody knew me, but she said no. She pointed out that if I gave up now, I would give up on everything I did later in life.
This truly was great advice, but being so dosed in my own depression and distress, I didn't want to listen to her. Surprisingly, it was my brother who calmed me in those times of distress. He sat next to me, murmuring quietly. I thought, if my brother can take hold of his storm of a temper, why can't I even control my own petty feelings? I started smiling again. I learned to have patience with every single person that I met, and I did something for them that my brother did for me. I listened as people told me the stories of their lives. I listened to every single story carefully, storing them up to tell another pain soul. From these turning points in my life, I've learned that blood really is thicker than water. There is nobody who understands me like my mom does, and nobody who can keep his place beside me in peace like my brother does. I've learned to value my kin and appreciate their concern and cares. As they say in audio movies, there is no place like home. Literally. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My dream is to be a warm-hearted diplomat. I want to contribute to introducing Korea to the world and the world to Korea so that people all over the world will love and help each other. Today, in this place, I am going to talk to you about Gachibab, which means food for the magpie. If you hear my story, you will surely feel the milk of the human kindness of the Korean people. And also, you will be able to imagine me working very hard for many people around the world as a warm-hearted diplomat of Korea in the future. Here are a number of magpies, and also some delicious-looking persimmons. These persimmons are called gachibab because they are left for the magpies to eat. People gather persimmons in autumn and they always leave some behind instead of collecting them all. These are left purposely for hungry magpies to have their meals in winter. Don't you think these magpies will be very happy? Also, magpies are considered a bird of good luck in Korea. We think that good guests are coming when magpies cry and are very pleased about this. We are not sure if this is really true, but one thing is for sure. Koreans like to meet new people and love to be friends with them. You can feel the genial minds of Koreans not only from gachibab, but also from worldwide interactions. Korea gives hope and aid to the countries which are suffering from wars or natural disasters wherever they are. We always forward to support people living in the harsh environments of Africa, to the Haitians who are tormented from the great earthquake which happened last year, and to the Japanese who are very shocked from the recent violent earthquake. Korea is a country of warmth. Korea is ready to share the world's joys and sorrows. Korea will always leave persimmons out for the magpies. I'm sure that my dream of becoming a warm-hearted diplomat will come true. Because Korea raised me when I was young and has been raising me since, it will continue to raise me in the future. From here, I will go on dreaming of myself becoming a worldwide diplomat born of Korea. Thank you.
This is a story about Rosenberg, who was a commander in the United States Navy. He had surgery for cancer 4 times, and his doctor told him, "You only have 2 weeks to live." He wanted to give his final days to make a difference for the Navy, so he went to Congress and the White House to ask for permission to go back in. They said yes. For 2 weeks, he worked for the Navy with all his heart. After a month, he was still working, and even after 3 years, he was still going strong. Instead of dying, his cancer went away, and everyone who thought he was going to die said it was a miracle. When I was 2 years old, I was badly burned with hot water. The doctor said I only had a 50% chance to live, and as you can see, I'm alive. Because of the burn, I ended up getting a skin disease called atopy. Since then, I haven't been able to sleep well. I scratch all night because it itches so much. Sometimes my mom tied my hands together to keep me from scratching, but it was useless. Mom, it's so painful. I would rather die than live with this pain. Please, I begged. Then she told me about Lozenberg. Eungang, it's not only the medicine that overcomes atopy. It's your heart. The doctor said Lozenberg only had 2 weeks to live, but he didn't give up. If he had given up, he would have died. Eungang, don't you want to get well? Lozenberg had cancer, but in his heart, he fought back. Don't you want to fight back too? I thought about what my mom said, and I knew I had to overcome atopy in my heart first. So I said, Mom, I'll fight back and not give up. Since then, I haven't let atopy bother me in my heart anymore. Of course, I'm still itching and have pain, but in my heart, I believe I am completely healed. The most important lesson I've learned is that problems and despair begin in the heart. Do you have any problems? Don't get discouraged. Instead, fight back. Thank you.
I cannot see the end. I wonder how many will come. Black faces with big shiny eyes. The stories that I heard 10 years ago are now unfolding before my eyes. Although I'm a doctor with nothing to boast about, those people who believe that I can heal all of their illnesses came here by walking all throughout the night. I once saw a child that should have died the following day for lack of medicine. The joy that came from taking medicine and seeing that bright smile with beautiful white teeth was like gaining the whole world. My father, who traveled to Africa when I was younger, would tell me, "Son, live a life living for others and not for yourself. From now on, live a life for the many African people living in poverty." I was happy whenever I would eat ice cream, but I did not know the secret that if I gave that ice cream to someone else, the happiness would double. As I listened to the doctors who went as overseas medical volunteers to Africa, they said that they were able to learn happiness through living a life for others and not for themselves. They also said they did not realize how much aid their small hand gave to Africa, and even though it may exhaust their bodies, they said that treating over 200 people without less was the happiest moment in their lives. There is a small ray of light in my heart. I want to become a doctor who saves lives and gives hope to the black children of Africa who are bounded in sadness, not only because they cannot treat malaria or AIDS, but because they cannot treat even the smallest of wound. Like how a line shines brighter, the darker it becomes. There's a female friend of mine that was studying to become a doctor. Her friend in Africa, Dudu, said this age she was dying from AIDS. When will you become a doctor? Come here to Africa and treat people like me. Promise me. And in order to keep her promise, she is still overcoming hard and difficult times, and that promise is also knocking on my heart. I want to become a doctor that not only heals their bodies, but a doctor that also plants hope and joy within their hearts. Thank you.
Dear my beloved friend Africa. Hello Africa, I'm your loving friend Hewan. When I was young, I thought that you were the peaceful place where the wild animals such as lions, zebras, and giraffes were jumping on, and people were dancing with colorful ornaments. It seemed that you'd never bear grief or pain. However, one day, while reading a book, I came to know your sorrowful reality. There was a picture of a little girl tremble with fright to be circumcised. Also, it's still an unforgettable image that children were drinking muddy water with animals. Since then, I started to watch it with deep concerns and a tender feeling. Furthermore, it led me to know the relief organizations such as Save the Children, UNICEF, World Vision, and so on. And the people devoted their life to help Africa left me a great impression. Just like them, I wish to thread my way through the world to help people who are in need of my hands. And this wish gradually grew deeply in my heart and settled down as my wonderful dream. I will become a rescue activist who can help African children to grow up in a good health condition to flourish their dream. Dear Africa, you taught me how to care and be thankful for things around me, even for a drop of water and handful of food. I was truly lucky meeting you. These days, I'm taking little steps to achieve my dream you brought me. I started learning photography and working on writing skills to describe the circumstances better. Also, I am interested in environmental issues and study English harder for good communications around the world. I'm sure there will be lots of hardship to overcome for my dream, but I promise you not to give up, but challenge myself for my goal. Dear my friends, there is a world map hanging on the wall in my room. Through this, we became closer, just like the heart I cared of you. I can't wait for the day to meet you. I want to reply after receiving my letter in the nearest future, whispering, I earnestly need your help. From your everlasting friend, Haewon.
Do you have a place you'd really like to go back? I think you all have one. Like that, I have a place I really want to go back. When I was in 3rd grade, I flew to Kenya after my father who was sent there as a missionary. Since it was my first overseas trip, I was very excited instead of feeling sad. At that time, I thought that in Africa, the wild animals would be playing freely with people in the field. But that was totally wrong. When I stepped out of the airport, I was shocked. Instead of wild animals, there were cars. And on the dirty street, even without traffic lights, the kids were begging and some were wandering sniffing glue. There were kids who had lost their parents. In Africa, many people die of AIDS, so many kids become orphaned and lose place to live. But that was not all. People even died of malaria, which can be easily cured if you just take medicine. They were dying just because of lacking $1 to buy tablets. I also saw my friend dying. She was living with her uncle because her parents had died of AIDS when she was young. She took care of me, who was the only white person in the school. She taught me Kiswahili and worked with me when I went back home along the dangerous African road. One day, she didn't come to school. Teacher said that she had caught malaria and couldn't come to school. So I thought that she'd come back when she was healed. But she didn't. She could be healed if she just took medicine. However, she had no money to attend hospital and buy tablets. As time went by, some good news medical volunteers from Korea came to give medical service. By translating Swahili into Korean, I could realize the Africans' hurts and pains more clearly. In the countryside, there were no hospitals and doctors to treat them when they got sick. They have had no chance to examine and were dying of malaria because they had no money to buy pills. With smart treatment, and even with one tablet, they were overjoyed and thanked as if they recovered completely. Seeing all these things, I decided to be a medical volunteer. and help African people and kids. I also want to conquer every kind of disease in Africa. Then there will be no people dying of AIDS and being orphaned. I will give hope to the African people and help kids achieve their dream, not wandering on the road. And I'll make that there's no kid dying like my friend. Thank you.